Good morning. It's Laura from McNeely Garden Studios coming to you Tuesday at 10. Mardi Gras today. And we're going to talk some about Mardi Gras, Shrove Tuesday. It's also Chinese Lunar New Year, like we talked about last week. But today we're going to talk about the mask. There's a lot of really interesting mystery about the mask of Mardi Gras and the colors and all the things. Although we're not going to stick exactly to the color scheme, just because I think it would be interesting. I just thought it would be fun. And so the history of the Mardi Gras Mask is simple. Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday in French. And it is the final indulgence of festival before Lent, before Ash Wednesday. We'll go tomorrow and get ashes on our forehead for prayer and sacrifice in preparation for Easter and all the events of Easter, which deserve their own day, their own discussion. So the final, it's a Christian rooted holiday, and a lot of people don't celebrate it. A lot of people don't know anything about it. A lot of people do know about it, and that's a lot of fun. But it's a day, Fat Tuesday is the last day to use up all your stores, all your fat and sugar that you should be avoiding all during the 47 days of Lent, because Lent is 40 days, but you take Sundays off. I don't tend to take Sundays off. Tell me in the comments if you observe Lent and if you take on something or leave something out. A lot of people use dietary restrictions of some kind. I changed mine up a little bit, but we can have that discussion another day. I see people here. Good morning. I don't see who you are yet. So I have on some of my regalia. I do have a lot of it. I mentioned before that I have been to New Orleans. I do have beads. I did not earn them. I purchased them. And some of these are purchased. Some of them were gifts too, just not earned, just gifts. And the purple, like here's the baby that goes in the king's cake. And purple is, I always have to look and see. Purple is justice. Green is faith. And gold is power. Now, our little mask that we're going to make is very loosely some of those colors. It's much more of a muted tone, not nearly as loud as festival usually is. But I just felt like it suited the lesson that we're going to discuss. And that lesson is about, as strong women, we often put on some type of an invisible mask, not to hide who we really are, but to hide that we're trying to cope, that we're trying to get it all done. And I was almost late this morning because I was involved in something that is exactly what this lesson is. I don't know why. If you are the person that discovers something in the household that needs to be attended to, good morning, Laurie. If you are that person that notices it, it seems like it becomes your job. And since I'm the one that cooks and I'm the one that goes into the freezer, I am the one that discovered that something has happened with our stand-up freezer. It needed defrosting for whatever reason. Now, the door could have been left ajar. It just could be time. I don't know. But the freezer needed defrosting, and I caught it just in time. So we didn't lose a whole freezer full of food. Good morning, Sue. But everything needed to be taken out. Everything needed to be moved into a different freezer. The freezer needed to be defrosted, which means gallons of water in the laundry room floor. Then you have to get the gallons of water up after it all defrosts. And while you've got everything all apart and everything's all wet, you might as well scrub, right? So there are a lot of things that Mr. McNeely does, but something like that, if you notice it, it tends to be your job. And so that's something that we're going to talk about today, that women tend to really be in charge of managing and coordinating. And good morning, Tanya. So we put this mask on, and it doesn't have to be that way, but sometimes it becomes a safe space. So we're going to, and did you know that the mask of Mardi Gras, if you're on a float in New Orleans, it's the law that you have to be wearing a mask. And the whole purpose is it's a tradition of autonomy. It's a way to allow race, gender, social classes, all to be able to interact with each other on this day of indulgence. Interesting concept, right? Almost sounds like freedom. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go down to our table, and we're going to be creating our mask. And I'm going to spritz my paints. And I do have some muted colors that I've created in a palette. You guys are going to be seeing this a lot in the next month or so. But I have to get a paper towel, excuse me. I don't know if I can paint with all this stuff on. Hello, Donna. All right. Okay, so I'm going to turn you down here, and I won't be able to see who's here for a little bit, but then we'll regroup. Okay, so one of the things that I love to do when you are just kind of looking at a blank page and you don't really know what to do, you want to paint, but you don't know really what to do, I save all my little bits, all my little extra pieces, excuse me, and I paint on them, and you will see like this one is actually just about like this one. Do I have you in the center? Yes. And so we're going to be painting these, cutting them out, and I'm going to show you how to put them on your mask. But I have a whole box full of things that I have just done so that when I want to start creating something, sometimes I'll already have things that are already done. Let me lay this over here. And they tend to be different palettes. Like this is more of a natural color. These are a little bit more wild, more true to nature. So, you know, and then sometimes this is a way to practice different techniques, different styles. These have, this is a lot of flowers that are already, they're kind of stylized and natural with pen and ink. So there's lots of things that you can do with your scraps. Don't ever throw your scraps away. And you can create yourself your own little fodder box of stuff. But I put those in there because they didn't follow the color scheme that we are going to be following. So I'm going to bring this over here a little bit closer. And today we're going to be using a brush that's kind of interesting. It's called a cat tongue brush. You see how it's pointed? I've never pulled a cat's tongue out of its mouth to see if it's shaped like that. I feel like that's the way it looks when it's in movement, but I don't know. I really don't know. So anytime that you're going to you want to get like a muted palette here, you're going to be mixing the colors. You're going to choose a color. And then you're going to choose a color on the opposite side of the color wheel to mute that color down. So in this case, I have a turquoise and a tiny bit of orange. And we're going to see what happens. So this is a great way for you to get started working with your brush, with your brush strokes, with your color blending, with your watercolor techniques. If you don't want, that strange pooling, then you've got to keep moving the watercolor as it dries. I do love the little pointy part here on this brush because it gives me such a natural leaf shape. And I'm just picking up some of the paint from these other leaves to create this thing. So you know that I help women process their life through art. And today we're talking about masks, and we wear these masks all the time. Excuse me. And we're struggling. Sometimes it's when we're struggling to manage things. But the mask we wear today is about noticing what you're carrying and what can be eliminated. Half the battle is just noticing that you're struggling. If you think everything is good all the time, then you're fooling yourself. I'm just going to kind of drag right through there for a stem. Okay? You have to notice things in order to fix them. And so you start asking yourself questions. What kind of roles do you feel like you've been assigned? I mean, did you just show up in this life and say, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this? Or did you just all of a sudden, tell me in the comments, what kind of things do you show up and do every day that you kind of wish you didn't have to do? Now, everyone has a responsibility to the household. I know that sometimes some cultures are a little more masculine based and women take care of everything. That's in most cultures, really. But sometimes it's taken advantage of too. We still have to do things that we have to do, but but we don't want to feel it taken advantage of. There we go. All right, now tell me, what would you like to be acknowledged for? What is it that you do a lot of that you wish that people noticed? Now, this is a really bright orange, and I'm going to put just a dot of this like navy blue in it. And you see how that tones that right down? Beautiful color. And so you notice now all of a sudden the brush is primed and I'm kind of primed, and it's not taking near as long. Now all of a sudden I have a much cleaner result than when I started. And you're always going to have that. When you sit down and you start and you have this ragged edge, don't quit. Don't quit. You got things to practice. All right, so we're going to do some berries also. And I'll show you how to do. So we're going to use this purple. And so what is the opposite of purple? If you were going to mute this color down, I like to take my color wheel. You have to use one that's got one open. But this is a violet. And to mute it down, you're going to use a yellow. Okay? You know, I've done this so many times, it's just in my head. But sometimes I have to look on the color wheel, and that's okay. And so we're going to take this cat's tongue brush. And we're just going to make some circles, and we're not going to fill them in easy, nice and even. I'm going to make them uneven so that they will dry with some natural highlights and some natural low lights. There we go. So now that you kind of thought about some of the things that you do that you'd rather not do, and some of the things that you would like to be acknowledged for, let's think about what you're going to do about it. You know, there are things in life that have to get done, but what are you going to do about it? I think this is going to be a little too blue, but we'll see. Yeah. I think I want something a little more botanical. Let's see, I'm going to use this. This is an olive that I actually created myself with some tube paint. And olive is an interesting color. It's made with yellow and a little bit of black. And I got a little bit too much black in it, but it makes it look brown. So in order to fix that, I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. And now we have sort of a prettier olive color. Not a sage. You would have to add a little more yellow and probably a little white to create a sage. And so we're going to, you notice how I fulcrum here in order to not get my hand in in the paint. Now I'm going to turn this around. You really do need to be able to paint in from all directions, but if you don't have to and you don't want to, certainly turn your turn your canvas around. There we go. And I'm just going to do some, since I have some space, I'm just going to do some odd leaves around because I do cut those out sometimes and stick them in places. All right, I'm drinking coffee today. It's kind of unusual. I've been wanting to nap in the afternoon, so I decided I'm going to start drinking some coffee a little later in the morning than usual. All right, and this one I'm going to show you. So we've done these branches, we've done these berries. I'm going to show you how to do these bare. These are like stems of leaves. These are like bare branches with some, I don't know, coming up cherry blossom season. Maybe we have some cherries there. And then maybe this could be a salvia or a lavender or something. So we've got two more to do. So we'll do the stems. And I did that simply with a brown straight out of the pan. Here, I'm good bit of water. And I want to form the point of the bristles back. And so you're going to start, your branch is going to be a little heavier, and I hold my brush kind of at the end so that you're a little more wonky. And so we're going to make it a little heavier at one end. Gotta have a little paint. I'm going to start with one end, and we're just going to kind of create a branch. And you want it to be pretty dainty at the end so that it looks more natural. Okay? Let it sort of taper off there. And if you're going to put flowers on your stems, and you certainly don't need to, you can just use your branches the way they are. Then you need to let them dry before you put it on. Now this is kind of wet at one end, at the heavy end, so I'm going to kind of let it drain down. There we go. Well, this is draining down. Let me see. Grin and bear it. I think we all grin and bear it a lot, Sue. And that's why we're talking about this mask. I want you to be able to have a safe place to take those masks off and get some strategies on what to do when you're feeling like that. You're feeling so desperate about things. All right. So we're gonna do, I think we'll do this lavender. I'm gonna put a little more purple in there. And what's the opposite of purple? Anybody know? We just talked about it. I'm gonna put a little yellow. And it depends. Now see, that's almost a brown. It's almost a brown. It's not very pretty. So I put too much yellow. So we're gonna put a little more green, purple in it, so that it's a little less brown and a little more just muted purple. Beautiful purple. All right, and then we're just gonna kind of go back and forth, blot, 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 blot. Just touching, it's no big deal. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back. I can put a little more purple in there if I want, and add some in the depth of the flower itself, just so as it dries, you get some natural low lights in the folds of the flower. Okay. And so that's going to be our salvias or lavender. I'm going to go back here to to my damp branch. And we're going to start with, so I like kind of a orangey pink. So this is a red. And I'm going to put some yellow. And I'm going to add a little magenta, just because I want it to be a little more oomph, okay? And I'm going to make sure that I've got a paper towel. Y'all see that I use my paper towels over and over. That is certainly the beauty in watercolor. And I'm just going to kind of dab around. Now, if this gets into some of the dampness of the branch, it's okay with me. You know, you have to make that decision on your own. It looks very botanical to me. So I'm just going to kind of literally just dab around. Okay? It doesn't even have to be attached to the branch. It's just kind of loose. And then I'm going to dab it off because I want this to be pretty light. Okay. Now more magenta to my mix here. And I'm going to go back and put some deliberate darker colors just around. And I'm going to let this, I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry. And I'm going to show you one that I did earlier so that you could see. It gives it more of a three-dimensional look. Okay? It doesn't take much, literally. Okay. So those are the ones that we're going to lay to the side. And I'm going to bring the ones that are dry out so you can see. And this is what it ends up looking like when it's completely dry. And it's simple to cut these out. I left a couple of cutouts to be cut out so that you could watch that. But I tend to, now you can cut it directly on the edge of the paint, but I like to give it just a little, like, I don't know, 3/8 of just a very tiny, certainly not a quarter. I don't even think it's an eighth. I think it's a lot, really small. But I do like to see that little edge, and it gives a little more contrast when you go to put it on your mask. Now, while I'm doing this, I want you guys to be thinking, on this mask, we did kind of a bluish green. I want you to be thinking what we're gonna do for the base color of the mask. And I've been thinking about, you tell me what you think about this. Been thinking about putting some of the things that I do on my lives just kind of on auction. You know, if you're really, really loving it, and I just thought I would put it out there just for a bid, and you just bid what you would like to propose, and I would have to add shipping and handling, but I use a company that is pretty inexpensive. So, all right, the bottom of the twigs, I do tend to kind of round out a little bit because I don't like that really sharp edge. And that's how you end up with this little branch. I did kind of cut this in deep because I wanted to be able to see the color in between. And this one will do as well. So I'm going to go around and leave that little edge. Is anyone going to have any king's cake today and find the baby? You know, the person that finds the baby in their cake is good luck their whole year. We're going to go to a pancake supper at church tonight, which is representative of the fats and sugars that are being used up on the last day before Lent begins. And so that's going to certainly be a lot of fun. We can, if I had more babies, we could go around and stick the babies in our pancakes, right? But I have saved this one from years past. I don't know, from some party. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put these off to the side. Now you can also go back in here and add another layer of watercolor, or you can go in with colored pencils, and that gives a really nice look. This one is still wet, so I'm going to put it on top. Okay, and I'll put this out of our way. Just to preserve your time, I already have this particular one done. And I'm going to take a sip of water. to be careful not to drink the paint water, right? Okay. So I have the female features on here. You certainly could make them a little more masculine if you wanted. The face could be broader. The lips could be more narrow. You know, there's different ways to do that. But with this, I was thinking perhaps I would try, I think I would like to do this purple and kind of stay more in the purple, green, gold. I don't have a lot of gold stuff. I was going to do it like I did before. There's something that's kind of, that would kind of go. See, and that's what's nice about having a little grab box. You can just kind of go through and see what you've got already done. There's a little weird thing. Here's a snail. I don't think that works. That one's too bright anyway. All right, well, that we'll do with what we have. And so I'm going to make sure that I have enough. That's one thing. When you are mixing paints and you've got a large surface, you've got to make sure that you've got enough, because if you run out and you have to remix, chances are you're not going to get exactly the same hue and tint. And I used a different yellow on that, and I'm not real wild about it. I don't know, it's not too bad. I didn't think I used a bright yellow, and let's see. I'll just use this to see. That is really muddy. Not very pretty. I don't know, once you get it lighter though, it's kind of nice. I think that'll be okay. And then we can use a more clear, a more pure purple for like the makeup. I like that, okay, okay. It's okay to try things and to like things and to not like things. So we're just going to cover this entire mask. And if you want this mask, just let me know. I'll send it out to you. It's no problem. Now the botanicals, you kind of have to work on your own, because that's going to be, that's just not something that works that nicely with a template, whereas something like this works great with a template. And besides, you'll come up with your own flowers, your own style. And that's something to be proud of. Okay. Now, when I trace this off, I did go back with my my kneaded eraser and lightened up all the pencil lines. There we go. I did not do that wet on wet. Might have been better if but I doubt it. So, all right. I'm gonna mute you so I can dry this a little bit, and I'll be right back. I tell you what, did this color not turn out beautiful? I'm ready for Easter already. I mean, look how beautiful that color turned out. So, oh, Donna, you want to do the mask? That's fine. Great. I'll get it to you. Anybody else wants it, just let me know. Now, I did paint right through these eyes right here, and so there was wet paint on my table. And when I turned it over to dry it, I got an uh-oh on there. But you know what? There's things you can do for that. And we'll show you. I think I'm going to splatter some paint on there, but in the meantime, I'm going to put a little more purple, more of a saturated violet there, and in a different well. And I'm going to add that as her makeup. Okay. Kind of cat-like eyes here. All right, and I'm also going to do the darkness of the nostrils right here. I'm going to blot it off and just do kind of the shadow of the nose. And more paint. Do her lips. A little Cupid's bow right there. You could even leave a little, I was going to leave a space, I didn't leave too much. There we go. And you notice I'm just kind of dabbing off. When I want less paint there, I just dab it off. Now, in the center, I want her mouth to look a little more open. So I'm gonna really dry this brush and I'm gonna just suck up some of that paint. Just kind of gives it a little fun. Now for the splatter, I'm going to use a little maybe. There we go. It's got to be a little wet. Okay. And as that's drying, we're going to kind of start figuring out where we want our botanicals, or which botanicals we want. I really like this green and gold. Beautiful, beautiful. They've got to have that purple. We'll have the little berry here on her cheek. This looks like a lollipop to me. I don't know, it's just not, it's not vibing. My vibe is not vibing there. I do like the different colors in purple. And here's like a little rose. I'm not going to use this one. It's bothering me. Need a little more space. I think that's going to bring that in a little bit more. Okay. I'm just going to dry off some of these dots, and I'm going to try not to blow all my stuff off. Again, you can always dab this off a bit. And I like that there's a variance in the color too. Some of them are darker, some of them are lighter when you do this way. Okay. So we're gonna work on, I'm gonna work on getting these in here in just such a way. I will post a photo of it finished. I think I'm gonna put this here so that you guys can see it. And we're gonna start using this curvature, using the colors and the shape to exacerbate the design. There's another one of those fun words, Donna, exacerbate. So I'm just gonna keep working at this. And I'm gonna bring you back up here so we can chat a little bit. Lori's gonna make a mask. Donna's gonna make a mask. You found some, ooh-hoo, whatever this is in liquid. That's interesting. Okay. I'll come back and comment and react to all your comments in a little bit. But if you have been enjoying the conversation, especially lately, Valentine's Day, Fire Horse, Mardi Gras, it's all been a fun piece of artwork, but it was also a lesson in order to give you a strategy to help you live a better life, a more fulfilled life. And if you've been enjoying these conversations, I want you to pay attention, because March the 10th, we're going to be doing a workshop where we paint this beautiful cross with bees and flowers. And it's not just going to be a religious symbol. We're going to have a message for midlife creative women. That's always my message. Midlife creative women. You are who I serve. You are my mission. And so I want you to pay attention to when it comes available to do this, and we will talk about a community that you can join, that you will feel a part of, you will feel supported, you will get all this type of information. We do a project once a month, and we have support for what's going on in your mind behind your mask. Okay? So as always, thank you so much for giving me some of your Tuesday morning time, and I will be here again next Tuesday at 10. I'm thinking we're going to do tacos. We'll see. But you ladies, thank you so much for coming. You have a safe week, a wonderful Mardi Gras. Make some good plans for Lent and Ash Wednesday. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye.